The opulent silence of the Abbott mansion was a lie. Claire Grace knew that now, standing in the grand foyer, the morning sun casting long, accusing shadows across the marble floor. For weeks, she had been cradled in a cocoon of newfound family, the warmth of her grandfather Victor's rare smiles and her grandmother Nikki's careful hugs feeling like a balm on a lifetime of loneliness. But beneath the surface, a current of unease pulled at her, a dissonant hum in the symphony of her second chance. It was in the eyes. Always in the eyes. Her Uncle Nick's, which would sometimes hold a flicker of something like pity when he looked at her. Victoria's, which were often sharp with a vigilance that felt excessive, even for a CEO. And Holden's were the worst. His gaze, usually so steady and kind, would shutter closed, a fortress slamming down, whenever the conversation strayed too close to the past, to the months leading up to her breakdown and Jordan's machinations. The official story was a clean, simple wound. Jordan, her deranged aunt, had manipulated her, used her, and the Newman family had rallied to save her. They had forgiven her. They loved her. End of story. But Claire was no longer the broken, grateful creature they had rescued from the precipice. Strength, nurtured by their own kindness, was now turning into a sharp tool of inquiry. The lies, once invisible, now had edges, and she was starting to bleed from them. The breaking point was a seemingly innocuous comment over a family dinner. Nikki had been reminiscing about a charity gala from the previous year, laughing about how Kyle Abbott had attempted a complicated dance move and nearly taken out an entire ice sculpture. "Oh, that was the night after we got back from Zurich," Victoria had said, taking a sip of wine. "I was so jet-lagged I could have slept through a tornado." A harmless comment. But Claire's mind, now a trap for inconsistencies, snapped shut. She remembered that gala. She had seen pictures. And she distinctly remembered Sienna, the bright, bubbly, and fiercely loyal assistant to both Victor and Nick, mentioning in passing that she had been the one to handle the Zurich trip logistics for Victoria. But Sienna had also told Claire, just a week ago, that she'd been in Los Angeles that entire month, dealing with a family emergency. A small thing. A trivial, bureaucratic lie. But why? Why would Sienna lie about her travel schedule from over a year ago? The question became an obsession. It gnawed at her during therapy sessions. It whispered to her during quiet moments in the garden. She started paying closer attention. She noticed how Holden and Sienna, who moved in the same powerful circles, often seemed to communicate in a silent language of shared glances and carefully finished sentences. She saw the way Sienna's effervescent smile would momentarily dim when Claire entered a room where she and Holden were speaking in low tones. The final clue came from an unexpected source, a digital ghost. While helping Nikki set up a new tablet, Claire was tasked with retrieving some old photos from Nikki's cloud storage. As she scrolled, a folder labeled Zurich Miscellaneous caught her eye. Inside, amongst landscape shots and hotel receipts, was a group photo. Victoria, Nick, and a few business associates stood stiffly in a conference room. And there, in the background, partially obscured but unmistakable, was Sienna, holding a binder and looking directly at the camera. The date stamp was clear, the same week she claimed to be in Los Angeles. The air left Claire's lungs. This wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. Holden and Sienna were entangled in a secret, and it was a secret big enough to necessitate rewriting history. She couldn't confront them together. They would close ranks, weave another layer of fiction. She had to find the weakest link. And she knew, with a cold, sinking certainty, that it was Sienna. She found her the next day in the lobby of Newman Enterprises, looking flustered and carrying a tower of files. Claire stepped into her path, her expression neutral, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird.
"Sienna.
Do you have a minute?" Sienna's smile was bright, brittle. "Claire. Hey, I'd love to, but it's a madhouse today. Victor needs these." "It's about Zurich," Claire said, her voice quiet but cutting through the corporate hum. "The trip you took with Victoria. The one you told me you weren't on." The color drained from Sienna's face, so completely it was as if someone had flipped a switch. The files in her arms shifted precariously. I don't know what you're talking about. You must be confused. The photo in Nikki's cloud storage isn't confused, Claire replied, her gaze unwavering. You were there. So, why did you lie to me? What were you and Uncle Holden doing in Zurich that you don't want anyone to know about? Sienna's eyes darted around the lobby, wild with panic. Claire, please. You don't understand. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Claire's composure cracked, a raw plea in her voice. Everyone keeps telling me the past is the past, but you're all still living in it, hiding in it. What are you so afraid I'll find out? Tears welled in Sienna's eyes. She looked like a cornered animal. I can't. I promised. He made me promise. Who? Holden. Claire pressed, stepping closer. What did he make you promise? But Sienna just shook her head, a single tear tracing a path through her perfect makeup. I'm sorry, Claire. I'm so sorry. And with that, she fled, leaving Claire standing alone in the vast, echoing lobby, the truth feeling further away than ever, yet closer than it had ever been. Sienna's panic was the confirmation she needed. It was Holden. It always led back to Holden. She didn't bother with calls or texts. She went straight to the ranch, marching past the startled staff and into the study where she knew he would be, poring over international market reports. He looked up, his face initially softening into a welcoming smile, but it froze when he saw her expression. Claire? What's wrong? No more lies, Holden. The words were flat, final. She shut the heavy oak door behind her, the click of the latch sounding like a gunshot in the quiet room. I know you and Sienna are hiding something. I know it's about Zurich. I know it's about me. Holden's face went through a rapid series of adjustments, confusion, denial, and finally, a weary, bone-deep resignation. The fortress in his eyes crumbled, leaving only rubble and regret. Claire, he began, his voice rough. Don't, she snapped, her own tears now threatening to fall, born of fury and a terrifying, blossoming grief. Don't try to placate me or patronize me. I've spent months trying to piece my life together based on a story you all told me, and I'm finding out the foundation is rotten. What happened in Zurich? He was silent for a long moment, his gaze dropping to his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were glistening. It wasn't just Jordan, he whispered. The world tilted. What? The plan to infiltrate the family, to get to Victor, it wasn't just Jordan's. He took a shaky breath, the words clearly causing him physical pain. There was a man, a facilitator, a shadowy, dangerous man who specialized in corporate espionage and psychological manipulation. Jordan found him. He was the architect of your chance meeting with Nick, the one who crafted your entire backstory, the one who pulled the strings until you were placed right under our noses. Claire felt the floor drop out from under her. She staggered back. His name is Casper Erdmann, Holden said, the name sounding foreign and vile in the elegant room. We didn't know he existed until it was almost too late. While we were dealing with Jordan's final, desperate play, our security team, led by Sienna, who was undercover in Zurich tracking a financial trail, discovered him. He had gotten spooked and vanished, but he had files, Claire. Detailed files on you. Psychological profiles, progress reports he demanded from Jordan. He saw you as an asset. A tool. And he believed you were a particularly effective one. Nausea rolled through her. She had been a pawn not just for her aunt, but for a faceless, nameless monster in the shadows. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice was a broken whisper. Because we were afraid. Holden exploded, surging to his feet. Don't you see? We had just gotten you back. You were so fragile, so broken by what Jordan had done. How could we tell you that there was another predator out there, one who had viewed your trauma, your loneliness, as a useful set of data points? That your entire ordeal was a business transaction to him? We thought it would destroy you. So, you decided for me? Claire shot back, the hurt curdling into something darker, angrier. You and Sienna and whoever else was in on this, you decided what I could and couldn't handle? You took my past, my truth, and you edited it like one of your business contracts. We were trying to protect you. Holden pleaded, coming around the desk.
No.
You are protecting yourselves, she cried, the tears finally breaking free. You are protecting your own guilt. You couldn't stand the thought that you'd failed to see the whole threat, so you just swept half of it under the rug and hoped I'd never notice the lump in the floor. You let me believe I was safe, when this Erdman is still out there. He's not. Holden insisted. We neutralized the threat. We bought his silence. We dismantled his network. He's gone, Claire. He's no danger to you, or anyone else. You don't know that, she screamed, the raw sound echoing in the room. You can't know that. And more importantly, I didn't know that. You made me a prisoner in a pretty lie. All this time, I've been sitting in this house, learning to trust, learning to love, and you are the ones holding the biggest lie of all. The truth was a physical weight, crushing her. It wasn't just the existence of Casper Erdman that shattered her, it was the betrayal. The people she had come to adore, to see as her saviors, her anchors, had looked at her and seen a problem to be managed, a secret to be kept. Their love felt conditional, contingent on her ignorance. Holden looked utterly defeated, his shoulders slumping. Claire, please. We did it out of love. Don't you dare, she whispered, the fire in her eyes banked by an icy despair. Don't you dare use that word to justify this. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't hide the monsters under the bed and tell you it's safe to sleep. She looked at him, at this man she had called uncle, this pillar of strength she had leaned on, and she saw a stranger. The image of her happy ending, the grateful orphan welcomed into the royal family, dissolved into ash. All this time, she said, her voice trembling but clear, I thought the biggest threat to me was my past. But it wasn't. It's the people in my present who are so willing to lie to my face. She turned and walked out of the study, leaving Holden standing amidst the ruins of their deception. The grand foyer of the mansion no longer felt opulent. It felt like a gilded cage. The truth was out, but it wasn't freeing. It was a new, more complicated prison. And as Claire Grace walked out into the Genoa city afternoon, she had no idea who she was, who she could trust, or if the word family would ever mean anything to her again except for a beautiful, devastating lie. The Young and the Restless, YNR, spoilers reveal that Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and Sienna Bacall's, Tamara Braun, rivalry seems poised to kick off soon. Here are 3 reasons why these characters will inevitably become enemies. For starters, Sienna is hiding things that affect Sharon's comatose son, so that'll certainly be a source of conflict. Noah Newman, Lucas Adams, has Sienna's name programmed in his phone, and she hinted about seeing him shortly before the crash happened. Sienna called Noah a friend, but she didn't stay on the phone long enough with Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, to even ask about Noah's condition. Although Sienna hoped Noah was okay, she obviously couldn't hang up fast enough. Nick will have a meeting with Sienna soon and pressure her for more info, but Sharon will surely face off with her too at some point. Sharon may put Sienna through a grilling session of her own and toss some threats around if necessary. Of course, Sienna seems genuinely unsettled over Noah's accident, but she knows, or at least suspects, more than she's letting on. Since there's a good chance Sienna's long-term lover, Mitch, who may be played by Roger Howarth, is tangled up in all this, she's keeping secrets that angry Sharon will want to get to the bottom of. To Sharon, Nick and Sienna's love triangle could be brewing. Nick may become another source of contention for Sharon and Sienna down the road. It's clear that although Sienna isn't offering up the whole story, she's not to blame for what happened to Noah. Once the truth comes out, Nick may see Sienna in a different light and feel like she was just caught up in a bad situation. Nick loves to rescue women and could view Sienna as someone who needs rescuing from a guy like Mitch. Despite Nick and Sharon's reconnection, he may be drawn to Sienna as this storyline moves along. If that's the case, YNR could be offering up all the makings of a love triangle that'll put Sienna and Sharon even more at odds. 3. Sharon and Sienna are nothing alike. Finally, Sienna and Sharon's clashing personalities could be a reason for any brewing hostility as well. Sharon is nothing like edgy Sienna at all, so that alone could cause some drama between them. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sienna and Sharon's rivalry could bring some surprising news, heated confrontations, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for what's ahead for these two, The Young and the Restless. YNR recap for Wednesday, October 22nd, reveals that Ian Ward, Ray Wise, will push Mariah Copeland, Cameron Grimes, to embrace evil while Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziadei, makes a love confession. At the hospital in Los Angeles, Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, will tell Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, about Mariah needing her at the clinic in Boston, but she also won't want to leave comatose Noah Newman, Lucas Adams. Nick will comfort Sharon over her dilemma before she calls Mariah's doctors for some updates. While Sharon's sitting with Noah and mulling over her next move, Nick will get Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, on the phone and give her all the latest news. Nikki will hear about Detective Burroughs, Matt Cohen, strange line of questioning, and Sienna Bacall's, Tamara Braun's shady call. Nick will complain about all the suspicions surrounding Noah's accident and will seek help looking into Sienna. Victor Newman, Eric Braden, will already have headed up to bed, but Nikki will get Nick to send her Sienna's name and contact info so Victor can have his people investigate. Once Nick rejoins Sharon in Noah's room, they'll reminisce about when he was a little boy. Sharon will ultimately decide she needs to stay there with Noah and trust that Mariah's getting the help.